Hey everybody, it's time for another pick a message or pick a card video. Today we're going to answer the question, my great big idea that I have right now that I'm really excited about, is it going to take off? And you can pick your option one of two ways. Either pick a number from 1 to 4, because there's going to be 4 options. If you already know what that is, you're good to go. If not, I'm going to have you guys pick a card, and I'm pulling the cards from this new deck called Soul Trees Oracle Cards. And yeah, I'm going to show you the cards right now. You guys can pick from there, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so here are the 4 cards, or the 4 options for you to pick from. It's going to go left to right, so this is going to be option number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you're ready, we'll go ahead and get started. So for those of you that picked option number 1, I feel like the idea that you guys are thinking about and that you have in your mind that you want to pursue, I feel like it's a pretty solid idea. I feel like a lot of the details are already well thought out, or they just very naturally seem obvious and clear to you. There's not a lot of questions that you have, a lot of uncertainties that you have about how you're going to execute on this. I feel like for the most part it's pretty solid. And like with any idea, there's always going to be questions and uncertainties, but I feel like for the most part your idea is set in stone, it's refined, it's solid, you know what you want to accomplish. It's just very structured and it's solid. I think you should pursue this idea. I think you should go ahead and move forward with it. I think that you should also keep in mind that with any idea, it takes a little while to get it off the ground, but with yours, that is still the case, but it's not going to take that long. I feel like as long as you stick through it and understand that there is going to be a little bit of ramping up time, it's going to end up turning really well for you. It's going to be something that, again, is very solid for you going forward. And the only downside of this idea is that it is something that you have already thought out, or that is already easy for you to implement. And so maybe many months down the road, after you've really gotten your groove and you're doing well, because this is an idea that I think is going to go very well for you, you're going to have a need to want to spice things up. You may get bored and need to find some way to make it exciting, but I really think this is a good idea. I think that starting off with an idea that is successful is most important, and then the whole boredom thing is something you can deal with later, and there's so many avenues you can pursue at that point. There'll be so much more that you know then, and I think that the more great ideas will come to you at that point, so I would not worry about this becoming an idea that you think you'll get bored with, because I just feel like you'll be able to handle it when you're there. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the card for you, for those of you that picked option number 1, and the card that you guys have is Inner Power. Hope you can see that. I don't know how good the lighting is right now. So with this card, what I really feel is this is not telling you that you need to be more connected with your inner power. I think what this is telling you is that you are already very connected with your inner power. You are integrated with your inner self already. And that means that as you make decisions, you don't really need to sit down and meditate and think and reflect on those decisions. You don't really need to tune into yourself and ask, like, is this something that I should be doing? Because you're already fully integrated with your power, that whatever you feel drawn to, whatever you feel confident about, whatever direction you want to go in, whatever decisions you've been making, make them, because you're already in tune with yourself. You don't need to go sit down and check in tune with yourself. You're already there together. And I think that the reason why you have this idea and why it's already so solid is because you have been connected to your inner power, whether or not you have consciously been trying to do that, you just have been. And I think that as your idea starts to ramp up, that's an exciting phase, and there's going to be a lot that's going to want to take your attention, and that's perfectly fine because your inner power is there and it's supporting you. And so even if you go off in your excitement, that's fine, because you're just so connected, like I was saying, that you're going to be drawn to all the right things, and it's going to be really great. And then as your business or as your idea or whatever it is that you want to pursue starts to stabilize and becomes more of a normal thing for you, not something you're ramping up on, but something that you're maintaining, again, like, it'll feel comfortable and good to you because you have that connection, and you don't really need to sit in and check in with yourself. I think the only time you'd have to really do that is when you are considering how to spice things up. But I feel like even then, whatever you're going to need to do to spice up your idea and take things in a new direction, I feel like that's really going to come to you, and you're going to know what it is and be drawn to it because you guys are just so connected. So that is a beautiful, wonderful place to be. A place when you are just fully integrated with your true self, your core self, and what you really want in life. And that is wonderful, and it's not a place that everybody's at. So really just embrace that, be happy with that, be proud of yourselves for where you are. For those of you that picked option number 2, you guys have some fire and some spunk. You have this energy and this excitement about your idea, and that is just awesome because that's exactly what you're going to need. So in terms of your idea and whether it will take off, I think it's a good idea. I think it will take off, but there are some hurdles and leaps and bounds, and there are some holes that you're going to have to fill as you progress forward. And I think that that's all fine because, like I was saying, you have that fire and that enthusiasm, and it's going to carry you through. It doesn't matter if you guys hit a slump, if you have some kind of issue, it's not going to bother you because you're so excited, you're so passionate about it that you're just going to power through it, make it work, make it happen, fix it, or find some other way around it. I think you guys are more likely to find another way around any issues so that you can still reach your goal because you're just not going to let anything stop you. You're not going to let anything really bring you down. And a lot of times with ideas that have this much passion behind them and that have these gaps in how they can be achieved or these hurdles that come across your way, a lot of times with ideas like that and personalities like yours, people sometimes want to tell you, maybe you should consider another idea, maybe you should consider another option. But I feel like you guys should stick through with it and you guys should still listen more to yourselves than you do to other people. I think their feedback is great, but your power is in your excitement and your oomph for this idea. And I think it's a good idea. Good ideas can have hurdles to them and still be a good idea. So I think it's really worth pursuing. I don't think ideas are things that change with time. You tweak them, you adjust them, you look at how people are responding. And so feedback is important. And when somebody says maybe you should consider something else, it is important, but some ideas are ideas that you really need to push through as a visionary because people don't know that they want it yet. And I think that in your case, that might be what your idea is. I don't feel like your idea is so far out of the scope where you're just going to have to completely change people's minds. I feel like it might be a little bit out of scope and some people just don't get it. But it's a good idea, and even though some people don't get it, others will, and you just have to stick with it and find your people for it because there are people that really want your idea and they need someone like you who has that love and that passion to get this done because they're a market that would absolutely love that idea and they love your kind of personality. They love your personality. They love somebody who takes life like that, takes life by the horns and accomplishes things and stays positive and is excited about life and excited about getting things done, and that's you. So I think you guys have your people, so just stick with the idea and let that fire within you, let that fuel keep you going. My only real word of advice for you is that make sure this is an idea that you are truly excited and passionate about, because if you're thinking about an idea and you're not 100% bought in, it'll go well in the short term, but I think after a few months, like in February maybe, you'll hit a slump and you'll wonder what happened and you will fall really far down and not know how to dig yourself out, and will lose sight of yourself for a little while because you'll think that you have this really great idea and then something didn't work out and then you're like, what now? But if you are really bought into the idea right now, I don't think that slump would ever affect you. I don't even think that slump would really happen. If it did happen, it would not be like a pit. It would just be another little hurdle and you would move past it because you're really excited about this. It really means something to you and you're driven by the idea. Like you drive the idea, but the idea drives you too. And yeah, so just make sure that you really are committed to this idea and really are passionate about it and willing to stick it out in the long term and can keep your excitement up through all the hurdles, because that kind of energy is what's gonna like, if you're not really bought into it, that's when the slump happens because your energy is not fully caught up with where you think you are. But if you are truly excited, that slump isn't going to happen because you have this excitement, energetic momentum, and it's going to shape the reality to continue to give you that momentum and provide success for you. So just make sure your energy is in the right place. But for those of you who are really passionate and excited about this idea, I see potential for some major success for you. And just always remember, I don't think you guys need to be reminded of this, but always remember that nothing worth doing is ever easy. but your excitement's going to carry you through all of that because you really will like love this idea. So yeah. So now let's look at the card that you picked. So we got compassion. And what this card wants to share with you is that there's two aspects. So the first one is that it's really important that you show compassion towards yourself on this journey, because when you're really excited about something, when you're working really hard, when you really believe in a vision, it can be very easy to be critical of yourself when something isn't working out. And like I was saying before, I think your excitement is going to carry you through, and that's not going to bug you. But so that's not a major component of what this compassion card means. But just do keep in mind to be compassionate to yourself and not be too hard. But I think your work and your excitement will drive you, so that's all good. Really, what the major part of this card wants to tell you about being compassionate is to be compassionate about the people in your life who are there supporting you, who are there loving you, who are there giving to you in whatever size that they're giving to you. Even if it's like a little idea, be compassionate of that person, love the idea and appreciate it, because no success is ever done alone or in a silo. All success is done through the people around us who all contributed in their own ways and who all supported us. And it is very, very, very important that on your journey to success that you remember that, and that you don't put down or belittle or forget those who helped take you to where you are, because those people really love and adore you, and you would not be, when you guys hit your major success, you will not be in that position. You would not have made it there without them. And it can be very easy to forget the little things that other people did that seem little but were so pivotal to your success. And I just feel like this is something you guys really, really, really need to keep in mind, is don't let the success and the power get to your head, and just be very, very appreciative of those in your life and everything that they did to bring you that success and that power that you gained. For those of you who picked option number 3, it's a little bit hard to say whether or not your idea is going to take off. And the reason for that is because I think that whatever idea you have in mind, you are very unsure about it yourselves. You have an idea, but you're not screaming with excitement for it. And then whenever you think about the idea, there's still some questions, some uncertainties, and so you really don't really know yourselves what the idea is, what it looks like, what you want it to be, what it could be, who it would be good for. It's just, there's just not a lot you guys know. You don't have a good picture of what that idea looks like. Your idea is really simple, and I don't mean simple like not good enough. I don't mean that it's just some idea. It's simple in the sense that I think it's pretty easy to execute. I think the business model is already out there for you, where other people have done this, and you could get a lot of ideas from people who've done it before you and not have to learn everything the hard way or figure it out yourself. I feel like it's simple in that respect. And because it's something that would be easy to execute and there are models out there for you to follow and get ideas from, it's something that you could be quite successful at. You can make a living from, if it's monetary. It's something that you could do well with. But because you are not clear, even though the service is clear, there's something around it that you're not clear about. Because you're not clear, even though the steps to get there are pretty simple and have been done before, you have a lot of questions around a lot of those steps, and you're overthinking it because you just lack the clarity. And so based off of all of that, I don't feel like this is going to go somewhere for you, just because, at least not at this time, because you don't really know, you just don't have that picture of what this idea can be and how can you really move forward without it. So I don't think it's necessarily going to go anywhere at this point. I think that you guys really need to spend a lot more time thinking, and I think that there will be more iterations of this idea as you think, well, maybe I could do it this way, or maybe I could add this and it'd be unique this way and not like everybody else, or maybe I could do it like this and it would serve these kinds of people, and this would be my added twist on it that makes it like my personal unique offering. So I think there's going to be many, many iterations as you try to figure out what exactly the idea is that you want to have that really rings true and right for you, and something that you feel very clear about and can get out there and really start executing on and getting a lot of success with, because when you're clear about your idea, other people can be clear about it too. And there's a pretty good chance that after you go through all these iterations, you're gonna come full circle to the original idea and just be like, why did I have to go through all of these? It was so simple. And even then, there'll be some confusion, but I think sometimes you have to go through the cycle to really understand where you were. Like sometimes the uncertainty is really important because it's what really leads you back to clarity. So I think you will likely come full circle to to the original idea that you had before many of those iterations. And so I think that in the meantime, while you're doing all these iterations, because it's just probably gonna happen, because that's just where you are right now. So, don't hate it because iterations give you a lot of ideas, a lot of perspective, get you to research things more than you would have otherwise. And whenever you research things, you learn a lot more, you get a lot more exposure, you try all these different things and see what you like and don't like. So all those iterations, I would not say are a waste of time, even though they may feel like it. You're going to gain a lot from it as well, even if you don't feel that way during it or necessarily after. So go through the iterations and that's fine, but I would also recommend that since you're likely to come back to the original idea in the end, I think that as you go through these iterations, execute on that original idea, even if you don't really know what you're doing and you're confused about it, just do something around it. If there's content you can start producing on that topic, I would start putting that out there. If you can start getting some clients around that or start telling people that you do that original service, I would start doing that because at least this way you're also learning. You're also, if it's like a business thing, you're also getting some kind of income from it. You're also starting to learn what people will be willing to pay. You're getting a better and better idea of what you're really bringing to the table. And I think that'll be really important knowledge for you. I think it'll also give you confidence, even if you're uncertain. And I think it'll give you a lot of clarity because let's say if you don't really know who your audience is, but you're creating blog posts on the topic and you are reaching out to people saying that you offer XYZ service. Through those blog posts, you're going to see, what do I like writing about? Maybe I don't really need to go out there and find my audience. Maybe I need to figure out what my voice is first, and that will give me clarity on my audience. And through putting out content and trying to spread it around, you'll also see who's responding to you and how they're responding, and that will give you more information on them, your target audience as well. And then as you reach out to people, I mentioned that you offer certain services, and as they show interest in what you have to offer, you'll get an idea of who is interested in my offer, why are they interested, what do they ask me in my sessions, what do we talk about, and that's just giving you more knowledge as you figure out who you are and what you offer and who you offer it to. So and at the same time, it's giving you confidence because you're saying that even though you don't know all the specifics, people are still responding to you. People still want what you have to offer, and maybe you're just overcomplicating things, but you're actually offering something that already provides value. So I think that this will all just I think it'll just be a really good exercise, and I think it'll be really worth it for you to go ahead and start producing on the original idea as you go through these iterations. I just think it'll be worth it for you, basically. So I just flipped over your card, and it is like the perfect card for you, and I almost feel like I don't have to explain it because it's so clear. The card that you guys got is initiative. And I just think that's so perfect because I think that's really all you guys really need to be doing right now is, yes, go through those iterations, but really get out there, take that initiative, put yourself out there, mention what you do, spread your name wherever it makes sense and as much as possible, because I think that's really all that you need. Like, you don't have to figure out all the details. I think that a lot of, let's say if we're talking about the business realm, a lot of business advice out there is like, you have to find your niche, you have to find your audience, you have to know exactly what you're going to offer, you have to know the exact problem that you're solving. But in a lot of businesses, that's not always so clear from the beginning. You need to get some data first, and sometimes you have to start with the offer before you know who you're going to offer it to. And I know that that's just like business blasphemy, I'm sorry, but like, I just think that you really need to take initiative, and I think the card is telling you that as well. And you don't have to know everything to start. And you guys are already in a position where you really could start. You just have to get yourself out there and start mentioning that you offer this, and then let people come to you. And then as you work with them, you will learn so much more about what you offer and what drew them to you and what they like about you and why they came to you and why did they come to get your service versus a different service that could have solved the same problem. So yeah, really just take initiative and start getting your data. And yeah, you don't have to know everything to begin. You guys can start right now. All right, for those of you those of you who picked option number 4, what I'm getting is that you are in a really good place energetically, and I think that you have a really, really good idea. You guys are very close to option number 1, but there is a little bit of a difference. So I think you guys are in a really good place. The problem, though, is that while you have a good idea, while there's a lot of questions you've already answered, and for the most part, it's pretty solid as it is, if a hurdle comes in about a month, let's say, and you're working on this, you're getting out there, and then there's some kind of hurdle or some kind of feedback, I think you will be more affected by that negative feedback or that hurdle than you should allow yourself to be. And I think that it would derail you and that you would lose some confidence in yourself, lose some of your footing, and start not sharing what you're doing with others as much and start becoming a little bit more reclusive and hesitant and a little bit more like reserved and shy about your idea because you will feel uncertain about it and not as confident anymore. And so I think it's really important that you don't let that get to you, because I feel like your idea is good and solid. I just think that on a inner personality level, oh, this is the difference between you guys and option number 1. Option number 1 is very in tune with their inner power. That's actually the card that they got. You guys are not as in tune with your inner power. That's the difference, is that you have a good idea, but should a hurdle come around, it's going to derail you because you're not as in tune with yourself and your own inner confidence. And so that is something that I think you really need to work on. And you really need to get your joy and get your fire and fuel from inside of you, and not so much from whether or not your idea is going to work out or not, or how somebody perceives your idea. Yeah, really, if you want this idea to take off, you're really going to have to work on your inner self. You're going to have to let go of that inner hesitancy and not have your confidence be based on whether or not the idea is well received. I think you guys need to understand that when somebody does not like your idea, 1, that's just their opinion. 2, take what you can from the feedback, because I think that in your case, the feedback that you get will be very valuable. And 3, remember that whatever feedback they have, even if it's negative, is not a reflection of you. It is just their opinion on the idea. It's not about you. So you guys have to grow some thicker skin. I think that if you guys can approach the feedback in a positive way and see it as constructive, you guys will go very far. I think this is a great idea. I really hope that you guys do not let anybody derail you from it or make you question yourself or second guess yourself or the idea, because if you do, this will be one of those really good ideas that never happened. So please, guys, please, you have a good idea. This is something that I think you guys are really in tune with and passionate about. You guys just need to be in tune with yourselves as well, so that the passion for the idea comes first before what somebody else's opinion of it does. All right, so I flipped over the card that you guys have, and it doesn't really have a word. It's really one of the chakra cards that they added to the deck. So it's the first chakra, or chakra, I guess is how it's closer to the actual pronunciation, and it's the root one. And what I'm getting for you with regards to this card, like what I think this card wants to share with you, is that don't be so black and white about your idea. Don't be so stuck in your roots, I guess, that this idea is either good or it's bad. Because that's what's going to trip you up when somebody has a comment. They're going to say, I think this isn't going to work for this reason. And then in your head, you're like, oh, it's not going to work. It's a bad idea. I might as well, there's no reason for me to talk about it. That's when you start going into your shell and feeling hesitant and shy about even bringing it up, because now you have lost belief in your own idea just because somebody else didn't like a portion of it or an aspect of it or had their own opinion on it for that day. I think in some ways you're basically being really set in your ways, even though it may not feel that way, because to you, you feel hesitant and you feel reclusive when somebody gives you feedback. But I think an aspect of that is that you're just being really set in your ways and you're not thinking about things fluidly and thinking about, all right, well, if this idea doesn't work this way, maybe I could try this, or maybe I could go this direction. Like, you're not being playful with the idea. It's either it works or it doesn't work, and people like it or they don't. And if they don't, then I don't feel good about my idea. I don't feel confident about it. When really it could just be, all right, so it doesn't work. Play with me. How would you do it? Or what if I tried this? What would you think? And also keep in mind that when people give you feedback, not everybody's feedback is really actually as worth listening to as the next person's, okay? Because somebody might just be one of those people that puts down everybody's ideas. Like that's just how they think. They're the devil's advocate, and they will find any way to put down an idea. And I know a lot of those people. So that's just their personality, and that's fine, but you have to be very mindful of who is giving you the feedback, because sometimes people like that are very helpful. It's really important to have a devil's advocate in a group, somebody who can show you the alternate side and help you be more realistic, because whenever you see the other side, you can work with it, you can find the gaps and you can fill them, and it makes your idea that much stronger. But sometimes it doesn't matter how you play with them, what suggestions you give, like what if we try it this way or that way, they're just going to find every single hole. So I think you have to be really mindful of who you're talking to as well, and talk to whoever you want to, but just keep that in mind whenever you're getting the feedback. Just remember that whenever you're getting the feedback, just because one person doesn't like it does not mean that it's not a good idea. It doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that. It just means that that one person didn't like it. So all of that is just basically do your best to not let your confidence rest on the idea, to be more flexible with the idea, to not see it as black or white, to not be so set in whether or not this is a good idea or not based off of somebody else's feedback, and try to grow a little bit more of a thick skin. And I feel like that sounds insulting. It's not supposed to be. It's just the only way that I can think to say it, and it's something that I have had to learn throughout my lifetime. I can be a very, very sensitive person, and like I've had to grow a thicker skin throughout life, and there's still some areas in my life that I still need to grow a thicker skin, because I'm still very sensitive in those areas. Because we all have our soft spots, and this happens to be one of yours. And if you guys really want this idea to take off, it's an area of growth for you. So that's all that is. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next video.